Okay, so today I'm going to talk about drum independence and the limb combination chart. All right, so the example that I just played was to show a more traditional example of application of independence between the limbs. So previously, the definition of independence in its most simplest form for drums was basically, let's say if you have a simple beat going like this, and then you want to get the hi-hat going there, right? Or right, so something is playing independently. Even the hi-hat could be playing something independently, for example. Right? Okay, so even the bass drum could be going off independently. Right? Okay, so independence has been thought of that way most of the time. And the more fluent you are in it, the more fluent of a style you have, even funky music where or jazz, you might have a lot of things happening at the same time, kind of similar to the beat that I just played. Right, so there's a lot of overlapping things going on there. That all requires some sense of independence. All right, so what I'm going to do today, however, is I'm going to define independence in a slightly different way. The limb combination chart, where that comes in, is that it's a method to go from point A to B, C, so on, and then at the end you wind up playing much more independently. And independently in this sense doesn't mean that the rhythm is more complex. It just means that the arms and the legs are playing in sync together, and they're not being thrown off by each other, and they're not dependent upon each other. So that really is the essence of the kind of newer definition, or I should say a little more precise definition of what independence is. And because it's not limited to just playing complicated beats or syncopated offbeats from everything else, it's about the limbs being strong within themselves and playing in sync with each other. And when you're playing independently, it's a different feel. And you can see most drummers that have been playing for a number of years have this sort of naturally after playing over and over and over again, playing a lot of gigs, practicing a lot, and it just sort of starts, your limbs start to kind of become limbered up and more relaxed. And this method is more of a way of identifying exactly technically what's happening there, that makes a seasoned drummer sound like a seasoned drummer with some nice independence and a really relaxed, in-sync feel. And so the limb combination chart and this method I'm talking about and the definition of independence is what gets us there, at least at the starting place. Okay, so it's a different way to look at it. And let's have a look at the limb combination chart next. Okay, so I'm going to quickly first just go over and explain how the chart actually works, because just looking at it, you might not understand it. And then let's go into some of the details later about what it's trying to achieve as you go through it. It starts at the top, and it starts with the RH is highlighted in red. That means right hand. Let's say if we're going to do a simple rock beat. So the rock beat is 8 notes here. Right, 8 notes here, quarter notes here on the hi-hat, 2 and 4 on the snare, and 1 and 3 on the bass drum, right? If you go all the way down to the bottom of the chart, where all limbs are highlighted, that's how you'd be playing it. That would be the final result. So the bottom of the chart, all limbs would just be like this, 2, 3, 4. But now we're going to start at the top of the chart. The top of the chart, we just play kick off the metronome and play the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and like that, right? Okay, and then the left hand part would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, right? And then the right foot obviously would be 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Left foot part 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that, right? And then now we go to combinations of 2, and so we're playing these 2 together. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first combination of 2 limbs together. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You practice these a while, each one. Okay, and then the next one would be the left foot and the right foot together. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, right? And then the next one is the right hand and the right foot together. So that's like this. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? The next one is left hand and left foot together. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. The next one is the left hand and the right foot together. So that's like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then the next one is the left foot and the right hand together. Like this. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now we're done with all of the combinations of 2. And like I say, I'm going to go into some of the problems that these show and solve later, but I'm just going to go through the chart so you understand how it actually works. So the next is the combinations of 3. There's 4 of them, basically all eliminating one limb. So the first one is eliminating the left foot, right? So left hand, and right foot are highlighted, so it goes like this. 2, 3, 4, 1. That, right? So the next one is eliminating the left hand, and it's just the left foot, and right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Okay. So the next one is eliminating the right foot. 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, so now the next one is eliminating the right hand. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so following the chart all the way down, now you're finally at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just mechanically what we're going all the way through and how it works, how to work out. It doesn't matter how complex the part would be. And as you could imagine, the more complex it is, the easier it would be to figure this one out. And by the end, when you got to the end, you'd have it pretty much nailed. So I'm going to go, though, through the steps of it in more detail and the kind of problems we're looking for and how to fix them as you go through. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the philosophy behind the chart, how it came about, and what it's really trying to solve and what it can give you no matter what you're playing. In fact, I devised a whole series of exercises that really had nothing to do with playing independently so much as it did to do with just building strength between my limbs and the ability to be independent and to play in sync. All right, and so that would be left to your own ingenuity and patience and how long you want to practice. But I used to practice for hours and hours just doing these exercises that broke things down in very simple rudiments. I won't go into that in this lesson, but that is where this chart came from. When I was quite young and I was enthusiastic about learning drums, one day I sat down and I decided I was going to put it all together and figure out, what is the essence of what's going on here and how can I catapult my skill beyond where I am in the shortest amount of time. And that was really the goal. And I think that is the best thing to be said about the limb combination chart and this definition of independence, and also what you're trying to achieve with it is you're trying to go further faster. And who doesn't want to go further faster and achieve more results in a less amount of time? So what result are you trying to achieve, though? So the thing that you're not trying to do is to achieve something super cool, like, hey, look how cool I am, I can do this. Not that you couldn't do that, but what you're trying to achieve is a more seasoned, in the pocket feel as a drummer. And that was the first thing that I noticed, actually. I was, what, 20? About 20, I think, at the time. I'd been doing lessons for about 6 years up to that point. And, practicing hard and long and learning to read music and all of that stuff was nothing new to me. And I'd worked really hard trying to play in sync and play, the best I could. But it wasn't until after I did this limb combination chart the first time all the way through a couple of times on some different beats that it just clicked, and I realized, oh, this is what it gives you. And so what it gives you is it should, if you approach it correctly, a very seasoned, even in the pocket kind of feel as a drummer that you cannot be mistaken. And the guys that play on albums, that play on records, those guys have this feel. And you see guys playing professionally live. I don't mean around the street corner, with a band. I mean like guys that tour, guys that play with top acts. They have this, right? And they never waver from it. And so it just comes from a lot of playing. You just play and play and play and play, and it starts to seep in. And I can say that that's even true for me, that I played a lot of gigs where I was playing 5 nights a week, 3-4 hours a night. And that kind of experience gives you a lot more of a good feel if you work at it. Some people don't. They just kind of go through the gig. But if you're really trying to improve your skill every night and be more in the pocket every night and working at it, it pays off. But this fast tracks you through years, literally, of that kind of stuff if you practice it diligently and with this in mind. So the definition of independence, what is that? So independence is a limb being able to play its own part. The first thing is to be able to play its own part correctly to the metronome. That's the first step. The second step is it can play it correctly no matter which limb it's playing against. So we bring the chart in now, the combinations of twos. So it's not being thrown off by the left hand, it's not being thrown off by the right foot or the left foot. It can play by itself, it can play in combination with any other two and not be thrown off, right? So the definition is can play its own part, not dependent on another limb, nor is it thrown off by another limb. So how that can play is, for example, so let's go like with this rock beat like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's the beat, right? Now let's suddenly I take the hi-hat out of it. I still should be able to play that beat in the pocket as if I never even stopped playing the hi-hat. And so that is one of the definitions of independence. Can these limbs play without being dependent upon this hi-hat beat being there to help it? Can they groove by themselves, right? So the same could be said for any one of the limbs. So here's the beat again. 1. So that comes out about by first practicing that by itself to the metronome and doing it enough times that it's not unusual. like if you dropped both your sticks, you'd still be keeping the beat going. And it would be just as much as in the pocket. Same with the snare, even if it's just 2 and 4, right? So there's dependent upon, and also ability to play by itself. And now, so the other thing you're trying to achieve is not being thrown off by another part. So one of the most difficult things for that is the hi-hat. Like for example, if you're playing, now I want to throw the hi-hat in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to throw in the hi-hat. So this is an example where the hi-hat could throw off the other ones. And so what could happen is you think you're just gonna, I'm just going to throw on the hi-hat, and guess what? It happens like this. All of a sudden, everything just falls apart. So that's being dependent on something, the first example, and the other example is not being thrown off by another one. So the way to solve that problem is to go through the limb combination chart and practice the hi-hat part by itself, practice it with the right hand, practice it with the left foot, and so on. Right? So that's the basic philosophy behind independence and what you're expecting to achieve. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the next lesson. Okay, so now I'm going to take that last beat example, this one, because it has a little bit of syncopation in it, and when we throw the hi-hat in there, it illustrates how things can get kind of thrown off, right? So we're going to go through the limb combination chart with that example, and I'm going to show what we're trying to achieve and the little problems that we're looking to solve when using the limb combination chart as it relates to independence, playing in sync, and having a great groove at the end, right? We can't forget about groove. All right, so now we start at the beginning of the limb combination chart because really, even if this is a simple part, we really want to make sure that the right hand is all good. So let's start there. And so what are we looking for with the right hand? Well, we're looking for a nice even eighth notes that don't have any break to the pattern. For example, like if I'm playing the eighth notes like this, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, just nice and even. And I don't want it to change no matter what happens, no matter what else I'm playing. You get into a groove, you might find yourself, you know, accenting some of those beats to get more of a kind of a swing to it. But it's not worry about that right now. Right now, we just want it to be nice and steady. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And so what are we looking for here? We're looking for being kind of uncomfortable, stiff, not able to follow the metronome easily. You know, if you find yourself drifting one way or another from the metronome, you don't want that. You want to stay really right on the metronome the whole way, nice and steady. And like I say, never underestimate the power of practicing something simple. And just getting that working. Okay, so that's what we're looking to achieve with the right hand. With the left hand, we want those backbeats nice and solid and in the pocket. So remember, now we're just trying to get each one by itself to do its part. And the part for the left hand now is a different cadence than this, because you got this bigger swing, right? Okay, so for the left hand, we got 2, 3, 4, 1. So notice there's a different cadence there. This is going on over here, but this has something else completely independent to get to achieve that nice backbeat. Right? And you don't want it to be dependent on other subbeats to get that groove, right? You don't want these things there to get the groove. You just want to hear the groove in the metronome and create it. 1, 2, 3, 1. And again, don't underestimate the power of really just isolating this part and getting good at this. It's simple, but it's also universal. Almost every rock beat you're gonna play is gonna have a backbeat. And, you know, practice your backbeat, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You sit there for an hour practicing your backbeat. You could literally be doing this for, you know, minutes on end, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just practicing that backbeat and getting it nice and solid. Okay, so moving on now to the right foot. The right foot has a little syncopation in it. It goes, right? So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And again, see, there's a tendency sometimes to play those two beats together too fast and rush them a little bit. So you want to be really relaxed and you want that bass drum to be nice and even. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not right. You want it nice and even, relaxed in the pocket. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just practicing getting that kick nice and solid by itself without anything else. 2, 3, 4. Right? Okay. Next part is the left foot, and that's playing on the 8s on the upbeats. And this is the part that's kind of throwing us off a little bit, especially when we play along with syncopated parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So relax on it. Bring it back into the groove. Don't rush it. 1 and again, it's a simple thing, right? But there are some mechanics to the hi-hat that require a different kind of a flow. It's like it's a different mechanical instrument. It moves a different space from this and from this and from this. It has its own different thing that you need to master. So now is your time to master that for this simple part. 2, 3, 4, 1. 1. And get used to that just going on its own. But in the pocket. You're not using any other thing to create that pocket. It's just the hi-hat is creating the pocket. The hi-hat could be driving this whole thing. On those upbeats. Okay? All right, so now the next thing is the combinations of 2, and what we're looking for here, and we're going to find it with this beat, is the combination of 2 limbs that are creating the problem when you try everything together. All right, so we'll start with the left hand and the right hand, and again, even though there's probably not too much problem here, we want to make sure we're really doing it in the same way they were doing it before, and nothing changes. So remember, before we just had this. Right, and we had this, right? So those can't change. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So notice the right hand doesn't change, and if it is changing, you find the right hand is changing to kind of try to, like, you know, and that's okay if that's happening, but now's the time to find that out and fix it so that the right hand is not being thrown off by the left hand or vice versa, or for some reason you feel like you gotta lift up that left hand, the right hand, when you're lifting up the left hand, right? 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, like that. If you find yourself doing that, don't. All right, you want this not to change, and now's the time to do that and figure that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That's what you want. This doesn't change its cadence any, and by cadence I mean that distance that you have to travel, like the sort of like rhythm cadence of the physical cadence of the limb. So in this one, it's got its own cadence, right? Like that. And this one's like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So right there, we're talking about independence, not dependent on the other, not thrown off. The left hand still does its part perfectly. The right hand's not affected by it, and vice versa. That's what you're looking for, right? Okay, so when you practice it enough to achieve that, you can move on to the next thing. So now we got the left foot and right foot, and predictably, this is where the problem is going to come. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So in this beat, this is probably where you're going to find the one that's the most nerve-wracking, the one that's throwing you off the most. But you got to get it to where it's nice and in the groove. That this is not throwing off that, that's not throwing off this. It's a little weird, right? But we're going to do it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? Not. And if you're still doing that, it's still creating problems. Go back again to each one by itself. Another thing you can do is simply turn down the metronome speed and try it slower and then bring it up to speed. Right? So if you're having some trouble here, you need to fix it now. This is the part that's the problem with this beat that will be throwing everything off. The other parts are just as important, but this one is one that will show you a problem. And where the problem is happening is when they're happening at the same time, together. When they come down together, there'll be a tendency to not want to go together. It's like that thing of two things can't occupy the same space. So it creates this resistance to do the same thing at the same time. I don't know why that is. You'd think that'd be easy, but that's the hardest part. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Okay, so now you keep doing that until you can get a real nice groove going with that part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice groove. This part has kind of a swing to it by itself. Right? And don't be afraid to practice that for like a half hour. Seriously, if that's what it takes. Okay? All right, so now we're going to do the right hand and the right foot together. That should be fairly simple. But again, this can't be affected and vice versa. So we go. 2, 3, 4. Right, so you got to keep that right hand nice and steady. It's not being thrown off. The bass drum's not throwing it off. And don't forget groove. It's got to be in the pocket. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Again, a little groove there. Should be musical, right? Right? It's a musical thing by itself. Okay, now then we got the next thing is the left hand and the left foot together. Okay, this could be a little tricky because that's on the off beats and this one's still coming down on those back beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give it a little swing. Okay, you get the idea? So keep doing that just to get that really in the pocket a lot, right? So it seems simple in theory, but you know, you could find problems there. Like you just really, wow, I never thought that was so hard to get that. But as soon as you get past that, now you've tackled this combination, right? Now, the next one is we're gonna switch it up and we're gonna go left hand and right foot. Again, fairly simple on paper, but when you think about it, don't forget this has to groove, right? So they don't have any other instruments helping you with the in-between beats, right? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. They're just doing it 2 limbs, 2 parts, right? And again, this might be one of those things that doesn't seem, you feel like I need these other parts. I can't really find the groove. Well, here's the place to find it. In these 2 limbs with the left hand and the right foot. You should be able to drive your entire band, everything else you do by just those 2 alone staying in sync. Okay? And staying in the pocket. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Like that, right? Okay, so, and keep playing that as long as you need to really hit it, make it groove. All right, so now we're moving to the next combination of 2, which is right hand and left foot, right? So now, this is fairly simple, but again, it could show some problems that come up, whatever they might be for you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Nice and even in the pocket. Musical. It's in a groove. It's in the pocket. And I haven't changed the right hand. The left foot has still got that kind of cadence going there. And I haven't affected the right hand. It's just doing its thing. It's not trying to compensate and play other things, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Okay, so that's that. Now the next thing is we go to the combinations of 3. Now, the thing is, by now, we kind of figure, well, we've kind of sorted it out. By these 2 limbs, we found a lot of the problems. Now what we're trying to do is just add one more. It is kind of eliminating one from all 4, but really, I think of it as left hand, right hand. We did that. Now let's add the right foot. So it's like we're just adding one to something we've already done before. So now we had this before. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? Now we're going to add the right foot. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now you might find some problems when you add the 3rd one in that you didn't see before. You can always go back to an earlier combination of 2 that's not working. You could lower the metronome speed and come back up again. You could do many things. Or you can go back to one part, you realize, gee, I never really nailed that one part. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do. But if everything's fine, we'll move on. So now we've done the left foot and right foot, right? Now we're gonna add the right hand, right? So remember this part was we got that. So now we're just going to add the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now with this 3 combination, you could now start to find that with those 2 in this, I'm starting to throw this off a little bit, right? That can happen. Anything can happen at this point. But what you're looking for is this didn't change what it's doing and the other ones didn't change. Let's do it again. 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right, so now we've done, you can think of it as the left foot and the left hand together. Now we're adding the right hand on the next one. So here we go, 2, 3, 4. Musical, in the pocket, nothing changes, everything's the same. Same pocket, same feel, same cadence. Right? Okay, now we got the left hand. Now we can think of this one as we got the right foot and left foot together. Now we're going to add the left hand, right? So we go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing, right? Keeping the pocket, keeping the groove. So that's the last combination of 3. Now we're going to go 4. We're going to play it all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how much more in the pocket that sounds than the first time I did it, which was okay, right? But this is a lot better after the session of going through this thing, all right? So let's do it again. 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay, so that's how the limb combination chart works. That's figuring out how to play independently, keeping things in the groove. And it's this kind of a thing you could look to achieve in your own work, in your own beats, things that you find complicated, that are difficult, or always throw you off. You can also make up your own bunch of exercises that let you play against different limbs. You know, you could go crazy with rudiments and playing rudiments against each other and all kinds of stuff like that. You could go crazy. You could do rudiments. Your ingenuity and your patience and practice hours is the only limit here to what you can do. So that's it for the limb combination chart and independence.